everybody. Today's a little bit of a detour from the standard wrenching video. If you remember a couple of videos back for the Barrett Jackson video, I was looking at some lifts and ended up pulling the trigger on one, and it is sitting right here. So I've recruited a couple friends, and we're going to go ahead and try and install it today. It is the big side-by-side, holds two cars, 4-post lift. So it's going to be a bit of a whopper, but I've got some car moving to do, and I'm probably just going to set up a GoPro with time lapse and just kind of go for it. And there probably won't be much commentary, if any, until maybe the end or toward the middle. I don't know. We're going to see how this goes. This has sat out in the rain for all week. This is the first day I've had a chance to look at it. This is the Advantage lifts, Backyard Buddy, side-by-side, 10,000 pound. It is a monster. 4,400 pounds with both these packages. I've also got in the back of the truck is the there's a pneumatic lift that I bought to put in the middle of this thing, and hopefully that'll be of good use for me. But it is a heavy mofo too. Coming inside at my disaster of a shop, I've got this car that's got to move and that car that's got to move. That one is mobile, this one is not. Well, it's mobile, kinda. It rolls. But this one will drive out of here, and I'm wondering if I can take this car, drive it out of here, and then take the 58 and put it on skates and move it over here, just so it's completely out of the way. We've got an open lane here from the garage all the way to the open area here. Or I may take the 58, put it on skates, and scoot it over here and just bring it over here as far as possible so that we have a little bit of a runway here, which I think is what I might end up doing, because moving these cars is such a pain in the butt. Okay, done. I'm gonna measure, make sure we're good on width and length here. Boy, this is a mess. It looks a lot worse in video. It's not this dirty in person. Weird. Okay, here we go. We are looking at the posts and the front and rear rails. I'm going to try to keep this pretty simple and try not to just blab about it. Chet and I are checking to make sure our posts are set right. There's the jack that goes in between the power, or in between the rails. Had to do some pre-assembly on this thing to get the safety locks in before we put them onto the posts. Something like this should be pretty simple, but it seemed to take an inordinate amount of time for 4 guys to read directions to be able to figure out how to put a lock on. But we finally figured it out, and we were able to get the other 3 on pretty quickly. My friend Chet there is the guy standing up. He wasn't able to lift anything higher than, like 25 or 30 pounds, because he had recently had surgery, so he got a pass for the day. And the guy sitting down there on the post is basically there for brute power. There was little to no English on that gentleman. He did a great job helping out. Eventually. little bit of an exciting moment where we were able to finally start making some movement on what appeared to be getting the rails onto the posts. Took us a little while to figure out what exactly they were looking for on how to set the... there were some plastic bushings that went on each corner of those things. We kind of had to figure that out, but once we got those in, just like the rest of them, the other 3 pieces went just fine. And the first set of posts are up. Backup has arrived. I think there were 6 or 7, maybe 8 guys that ended up showing up extra. So it definitely was a circus there for a little bit, but we were super happy to have these guys because there was no way we were going to be able to get that power track, that first track in by ourselves, and we could barely get it off the trailer. It was pretty wild. You'll see it come in here in a minute. We had a moment of clarity in realizing that lifting that power track up to almost shoulder height was going to be almost impossible. And what the directions said was to set that rail 5 clicks up, and it just wasn't going to work out with the way we were going to do this. So we set it on the bottom lock and then put the first power track in. That is the power track. It has all of the hydraulics and the cables in it, and it is 100% the most heaviest part of the whole project. Here the 3 gringos are sitting here waiting for all the Mexicans to do the work, as usual. Here comes the second track. You know, it seemed like once we got one thing done, it would be easier to do the other 3, and it you know, in actual time, this whole project of putting the posts and the rails and the tracks together ended up being about an hour. So it really wasn't much time at all. I honestly felt bad about bringing everybody out here, but there was no way we could have done this without them. We were still... Well, what we didn't realize as we were standing here waiting, they were unpacking the last track. It was still bolted to the whatever framing that they had built to ship this thing. One last thing we got to do is get that jack up onto there, and there was no way 2 of us was going to do it. It's a minimum 4-man job. And you can see them fighting that thing on. It was kind of difficult to get those wheels lined up, but we got it. Okay, got the meat and potatoes in. Sent the army home, and basically I've got just little bits to do, so I'm gonna just try to tackle this myself and see how far I can get tonight. I'm working on, I tightened all these guys up. I'm working on getting the lock latch unlatch thing installed. So I got a bunch of eye bolts to put in through here, front and back, and then these giant rods got to go through the front and back as well. So I'm just gonna give you some more time lapse. Really don't have much to say here. It is literally just doing little onesie-twosie type stuff. Eye bolts that basically held the front rear control cable or rod for the safety lock. There it is going in there in the front and in the back. That whole locking system was kind of difficult to get set up. I think it was honestly the hardest part of the job for me, aside from the heavy lifting, because it all had to be adjusted pretty much perfectly in order for it to all work right. And it kind of tripped me up a little bit on those Heim fittings, on those long rods. I ended up putting jam nuts on them I wasn't supposed to, so it made the rod too long, which was a surprise when I went to go put the, pull the lock to lower the lift, and none of them were working. As you can see, with the amount of time that I've been spending on all of these four corners with these rods and joints and all this, it took up quite a bit of time. Shouldn't have, but it did, because I'm not very smart. Those are the top caps for the posts. Of course, I put one on without realizing I needed to take it off again. And that is the retaining spot for the motor. It kind of just hangs off the top of the post there. Working on the hydraulic line there. It's basically kind of a bulkhead fitting that fits through a hole in that power track, and that power track had been powder coated, so it needed to be wallered out a little bit for that fitting to fit through there. Hydraulic hose that connects up to the motor and pump. And cutting all the zip ties off the cables that were wrapped up in the power track there. Like I said earlier, that power track houses all of the cables and the pulleys and the hydraulic stuff, and that is just, it's so heavy. And actually, running those cables was pretty intuitive. There was really nothing to it. There was one short one and one long one for each side. So obviously, the long one was going to go all the way across, and the short one was going to go to the closest post. That one could not get all the way up. It was too short. What I needed to do was extend the hydraulic ram and then physically pull the cable out far enough to get them to reach, and I finally got that one to reach, and then once that one reached, they all reached. And the pump. Finally got it out. Hopefully you don't hear background noise. I've got family here, and the only time I got to do this, so yeah. Okay, motor's in. Getting everything plumbed up. We're getting close. Okay, this is as far as I'm going to get tonight. I have pretty much run out of things I can really do according to the directions. I've got to get 5 gallons of, well, however many gallons it takes to fill this thing up. I'm sure it'll take quite a bit. It does say something in the instructions. AW46 hydraulic fluid for warmer climates and 32 for cold. 12 quarts. The tank is what it holds, but that ram is huge. So I'm gonna buy a 5-gallon bucket of hydraulic fluid and just do it. My other lift actually is transmission fluid powered, and I don't know if it really makes a difference or not, but that's basically a hydraulic fluid. So, but I don't feel like buying 5 gallons transmission fluid at this point. And then also I've got to run 220 to this. I need to figure out what the amp pole is on it. And where is it? Oh, no. 3 horsepower, single phase, 3.17 gallon tank. What am I missing? I'll figure it out. I'm sure it says something in the instructions. Anyway, I've got to get something brought down out of the ceiling from over there, up into the ceiling, back down to here, and I'll probably put a disconnect box back here. You really are supposed to have some sort of a quick disconnect. Well, it's easier this way, so you don't have to walk back to the breaker box every time you want to turn this thing on and off. But basically, safety protocols are supposed to tell you to shut the power off to the lift every night, so that if you have some sort of a short, the lift doesn't lift the car up into the ceiling, or vice versa, it doesn't drop. So I don't know. I'm gonna put a disconnect over here because it's gonna be easy for me to do that. I'm just gonna tack it over to here. It's basically gonna be an AC pull box. So it's gonna have a handle that just pulls out, that shuts it off and pushes back in, turns it back on. I think that's how I'm gonna do it anyway. That's how that one is over there. Yeah. Anyway, back at it tomorrow. Okay, here we are in chaos. I've got a mess of stuff over here that I'm just trying to finish up on this 60 Buick over here, but I've got the wire roughed in from the box all the way over there, over to here. Got all my crap that I need from Depot to rough in my wire, but everything so far is looking good. I've got to widen the space in between these 2 rails right here. We've got a, that won't fit, but it's literally just on the edge of fitting, and the instructions do tell me to try to push these as wide as possible so the track can be as wide as possible, but obviously we have a little bit of an issue right there, so I'm going to take one of these tracks and just kind of scoot them back in a little bit, and that'll give us plenty of room for these runways. Other than that, we're in good shape. I do have 2 light kits coming for this, which will illuminate the top and the bottom of the lift when it's on, which is freaking awesome. Those light kits, if you remember in my video on Barrett Jackson, I showed all that stuff in there, and they're a real trip. So can't wait to get those and finally get this stuff gone and out of here. So I'll have this thing done tomorrow, and hopefully this thing is gonna run. Meow. It works. It's crazy how high this thing can get. Obviously, we're limited by how big the car is on top, but man, I am, you know, this is basically top of my reach right here, just standing flat-footed, so we get plenty of room. And of course, we won't be able to do any work on any cars. This is, you know, all the way up is storage only. But anyway, I went ahead and got this wired with a professional licensed electrician, and got it running, bled the air out of the line, and found out that I did not adjust my doohickey correctly on these Heim joints. You had to put what do you call them? Nuts on here, but not on these. I actually had nuts on each one of these on each end, and it made the rod too long, which didn't allow that lock to let go when I pulled the lever. So quick adjustment there, but we are 100%. And I did adjust the height of all of these here. I put it down on one of the middle locks here, and the way they said to on the instructions, and ran those up till everything was level. And we are in great shape. It works awesome. Cool. I'm excited. It's a little bit of a reach to get up to that once it's all the way up. Doesn't take much effort to pull this lever either. I'm kind of surprised the way it wanted to act when I first had it on. It was kind of tight, but it's totally fine now. And you can let go of this thing after your last lock if you want. And you don't have to sit on the ground to hold that thing to keep it from locking. The only thing that's kind of weird, I think, but there's no way around it, is the fact that this kind of flaps in the wind, but the only way to attach it to this post is to put it on a cantilever. And I mean, this thing is built with 3/8 inch plate steel up there. I guess the only thing you could do is put a gusset up top to keep it from floating even more, but man, I mean, there's just no other way to do it. So that's the way it is, I guess. But I adjusted all these things to where every lock hits at the same time. And then just lower it to lock it in place. Cool. We're jamming. So that's all she wrote. I think I've got 2 more things I'd like to do on this thing. I've got 2 light kits coming that basically is going to light up under the car and under the car. And I don't know when they're going to be here, probably pretty soon. But I do want to get a caster kit for this thing because I do want to be able to move this around a little bit. I'm precariously close to my little water heater back there, but I never use that thing anyway. I might as well just pull it out because it's got crappy water in it. I've got a well with unfiltered water in it. It just stinks. So, it's pretty much it. I got plenty of room over here, but I'd like to be able to have a little bit of wiggle room if I wanted to, just to kind of have some adjustment. But at this point, we are ready to rock. And hopefully, we've got cars all over the place that need to move around, so that's going to be another day. So I didn't have much of a point putting this video up, but at least it gives you an idea of what goes into putting one of these things up. I got this 2-post in from the same folks at Advantage Lifts. I just couldn't do an Advantage lift inside here because of the way the ceiling sets, and just didn't have any option except for that lift for a 2-post asymmetric overhead. So this one here, I've got plenty of room as far as the height is concerned, but I am super happy with the way the whole transaction has gone. Tony at Advantage Lifts has been super responsive and fast, and Janine, I've talked to a couple times on the phone with customer service because I've had questions. They have their tech people on site to be able to kind of answer a couple questions. I had some electric questions that needed to be answered real quickly that I probably should have watched a video that answered that, but I didn't. And anyway, they give me the answers regardless. So anyway, appreciate you watching. Thanks for everything. Oh, by the way, I do have my store set up on YouTube. It is has a few shirts and hoodies and stickers and random stuff right now, but I'm hoping to expand that here in the near future. And, you know, it should be all real quality stuff. We don't like to put any cheap stuff out. I hate cheap t-shirts that aren't worth anything. So especially like hoodies and stuff, you can get really stupid cheap on this stuff that's on the internet. But just go click on the store link down there. It'll take you to everything that we have. And we will periodically be adding things in the future. So take a look, keep looking, and thanks a lot. I'll see you guys later.